glad in it. This is the day all my dreams come true. Feel the Spirit working its way through. Yes, this is the day. It's time to fly higher and higher up in the sky. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it.
Morning, Rod.
Good morning, Clyde.
Welcome to West Valley Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Reverend Clyde Goins, and I want to welcome you here on this beautiful Sunday morning. And I also want to pause for just a second and just acknowledge all the fathers out there, and happy Father's Day to all the wonderful fathers. So we won't ask you guys to come up and tell us how much you love your dad this time. But I thought about it. That's all I'm going to say. Anyways, all right. So we come together every Sunday to remember our truth, that we are whole, perfect, and complete just the way that we are, and that we get to experience and express life as much as we want to, right? It's our choice. So our announcements today, we have several announcements. So the first one is this thing called You is a class that Reverend Karen's going to be doing. It starts on July the 13th. The sign-up sheet is in the bookstore. So please sign up for that class and enjoy that class. It's from 1:30 to 3:30 in the afternoon. The next thing that's coming up is our exciting fundraiser, which is a Survivor fundraiser. And so we're going to be playing lots of games. We're going to have a special premiere of Reverend Karen doing her audition for the Survivor, so that'll be a lot of fun to see. So that's July the 15th, and that starts at 5 o'clock p.m. The next item is next week is our potluck. So remember, we're doing 2 potlucks a week. Well, really only one. So the potluck on the end of the month is every last Sunday of the month, and then the second Sunday, the Dining with the Dudes, is not a potluck. We actually feed you. All right, so that is so a reminder about the potluck. A lot of stuff. And then another thing that we've changed here is we've created these green cards that they're in the bookstore on the desk there. And so if you're not getting the newsletter, we have all this information that we send out every week to keep you informed of everything that's happening. So if you're not receiving the newsletter and you want to receive the newsletter, you can fill out this form, and you'll receive the newsletter. Drop that off in one of the tithing boxes, and then we'll get your information added to the email list, and you'll receive all that information. All right, so let's say our vision statement together while we're thinking about being remarkable. All right, so let's say our vision statement together. We are a loving, joy-filled community honoring the many paths to God as we learn and live the science of mind principles. And so it is. So if you could sit back, relax, open up your hearts and minds for the Bradford's beautiful meditation song and Reverend Karen's wonderful message. Thank you.
So just take a big, deep breath, a healing breath, a cleansing breath as we go within.
I will make a quiet place within my heart. I I will wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my mind. I will wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, no.
I will make a quiet place within my life.
And I will
wait upon the Lord.
wait upon the Lord.
I will make a quiet place.
So here in this quiet place where we have come together to honor the truth of who we are, in a book called Your Spiritual Power, which is a compilation from Ernest Holmes' different books, small books, there's a section in the book called Pray and Prosper, and it's called Group Prayer. So this is going to be my prayer this morning. The one Supreme Spirit is within, around, and through every member of this group. Each is the center of God-conscious life, truth, and action. Infinite intelligence governs, sustains, and animates every member of this body. Good alone goes from them, and good alone returns to them. Infinite mind establishes harmony and right adjustment of all personal, family, business, and social affairs or conditions in life of each member. Each is supplied with every good thing. Each is happy, radiant, and complete. The Spirit of God manifests in each one as peace, harmony, and wholeness. Everything that any one of this group does, says, thinks, is governed by infinite intelligence and inspired by divine wisdom. Each is guided by divine intelligence into right action. Each is surrounded by friendship, love, and beauty. Each person is the manifestation of the divine spirit, which never tires, which is birthless, deathless, and limitless. Each is receptive to the inexhaustible energy of the universe, to the divine guidance. Each person in this group is conscious of complete happiness, abundance, health, and increasing prosperity. Each is aware of their partnership with the infinite. Each knows that everything they do prospers. Each is conscious of inner peace and poise. Each immediately becomes conscious of a more abundant life. I know that is true for everyone here today, that Reverend Karen's message inspires us and lifts us. The Bradford's music opens our heart, that everything about this service reflects that prayer. And each of us is touched. And so it is. And in the same book, there's a section, there's a book called Discover a Richer Life, and I'm just going to read a little section. Remember this, any word you speak with meaning will have power. Do not try to use the words I write, the words of other writers, or even words that are in the Bible. They are good, but the word that springs spontaneously in your own heart and mind is the right word to use in prayer or treatment. Let us believe that we have never believed, let us believe as we have never believed before, in the imprisoned splendor within ourselves, loosened by our own words. It is God who has willed it. The law of God establishes it, and our experiences may demonstrate it. The source of all good we have so earnestly sought, we have within us. Our health, our permanent well-being lie in our realization of our eternal, ineffable life in God. In God we live and move and have our being. So allow yourself to just experience that presence of the divine within. And so it is.
We got a really special song for you today. I used to sing this song when the boys were in the womb. It's called Beautiful Boy.
Close your eyes, have no fear. The monster's gone, he's on the run, and your daddy's here. Beautiful, 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 beautiful boys. Beautiful, 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 beautiful boys.
Before you go to sleep, say a little prayer. Every day, in every way, it's getting better and better.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful boys. Beautiful, 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 beautiful boys. Out on the ocean, sailing away. I can hardly wait to see you coming of age. But I guess we'll both just have to be patient, 'cause it's a long way to go, a hard road to hoe. Yes, it's a long way to go, but in the meantime,
Before you cross the street, take my hand.
life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. Beautiful, 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 beautiful boys. Beautiful, 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 beautiful boys. Beautiful, 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 beautiful boys. Love you guys.
Oh my goodness, that was so beautiful. Oh, I'm verklempt. It was so beautiful, and I could see their faces while you were singing to them, and I thought, oh my God, wouldn't you want a mom and a dad to sing to you like that when you were growing up? Of course, you'd probably want the Bradfords to be your parents anyhow. I'm just guessing. It'd be a fun gift. Before we start this morning, and I can compose myself again, Kathy, did Clyde talk to you before the service about something we might need right now? Awesome, awesome.
She's just telling you so that way you would not sit down.
No, I really didn't know. I was a little nervous. I wasn't sure how we were going to do this because we forgot to talk about it. Yeah, we'd like both mics on if you could, please.
I think we're both on now.
Thank you. So something special that we're going to do this morning that we don't do very often except for wonderful occasions is that we want to honor our admin assistant for 12 years, Cheryl Copper. And I know you didn't know, we did our best to surprise you with this. Somebody almost spilled the beans in there when you were in there praying with us. So if you would step forward, please. We have a couple little ways we want to gift you.
And Cheryl's our remarkable story. for today.
Yeah, she is our remarkable story. Thank you, thank you. Oh, so first of all, here is a certificate for 12 years of dedicated service. Thank you so much, and thank you for being my, I always called her my left hand because I'm left-handed. Yeah, thank you for being my left-hand person in my life, and always, Cheryl, the one thing she did better than anything else in 12 years was keep the minister grounded. As my left hand, right? And so the board and I put together a little present for you. Reach in here and pull out your gift, and then I'll tell you what it's all about. We've been collecting keys for a month. You know those useless keys you have at home? You don't know what they go to anymore? So we wanted to give you a whole bunch of keys, Miss Cheryl, and I put them on. This is one of Hugh's keychains he bought for himself because he bought souvenirs everywhere he went, from Stonehenge in England. And I see that you got a couple other little good surprises on there as well. And here's what we did. We thought these keys, because you always carried around all the keys to this building, we figured this would help ease you. You can carry these around if you're missing us. All of our love, all of our blessings, and everything you need to unlock in a successful retirement is right here. Thank you.
And in addition to that, we have these beautiful flowers for you for being all
For
that
the
you
flower
are.
lady.
Yes,
brought us
so
flowers. No, it's for you.
they're for you to take home with you. And then one last thing, we want to sing our blessing song to you. So if you're able to stand, and we ask that you put your hands up like this, we can just send her love, and then let's sing the blessing song together.
You are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world, is a blessing to the world, is a blessing to the world. We love you.
Doesn't it feel good to watch someone just receive love? Yeah, it's really a privilege to be a part of such a thing. I have a message prepared this morning. I was working around the theme of Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all of you dads, and happy Father's Day to all of you all the women who had to be the masculine energy in raising the kids in the family, and all the ways that we use that power of masculinity, that strength, to imitate the gorgeous strength of all creation, the Father God of all creation. I did a little research, and I learned that Father's Day began as a tradition in 1910. It started in Washington State by a woman named Sonora Dodd from Spokane. And Sonora Dodd had this idea. They were already celebrating Mother's Day, and she had a desire to be able to honor fathers as well. And so she did all these amazing things and went to, she created some great theory, and then she went to all the little shop owners in Spokane, and she went to the YMCA, and she went to the churches, and she contacted government officials, and she did everything she could. And in June of 1910, they did actually celebrate in the state of Washington the very first Father's Day. And then as we know, it progressed. Here's something I did not know, and that is that it wasn't considered an official national holiday until 1972. So even though many of us were celebrating our dads far before that time, That was when it was declared in a sort of legalistic way, I guess, as a holiday. And I also was thinking how fitting it is that Father's Day is so close to the summer solstice. You know, the solstice is the longest day of the year. And when you research the word father at the root, one of the root meanings is to give rise to. To give rise to. So fathers give rise to life in the same way that the Creator God gave rise to all of life, just in the same way that we are reminded every single day, every new day, the sun comes up and rises again. So there's a lot to be grateful for, and we thank you for all the good things that the Father image brings to us in that warm and comforting way. In fact, the title of my talk is In Good Repair, because I wanted to have sort of a theme, and I thought, well, you know, my dad was really, really handy around the house, and he was in construction, and I really, as a little girl, figured, like a lot of us, that dads could do anything. They had some kind of a magic power or something. Then I got married, and I found out that my husband wasn't quite as handy as my dad was. Right? And so, you know, that was a harsh comparison to blend into. But then as a widow, I found out that he was pretty good at things that I can't do. So, you know, so the story always, like always, it just keeps continuing. And there's a lot to consider around all of this idea of rising and the Father Spirit and being in good repair, and we'll jump into that in a minute. But I also like to, on Father's Day, I'm always drawn to share a little bit about the founding father, Dr. Ernest Holmes, who put together this philosophy and packaged it in such a way that we have a great opportunity to look at his life and see that he led a really good example for us to follow in lots and lots of ways. He gave life, you might say, to this movement, and he was a key part of New Thought. But when we look at what's at the beginnings of all the New Thought faiths, anything pertaining to the metaphysical elements of spirituality, and actually the words kind of mean the same thing. Meta is beyond the physical, metaphysics. So it's all the God stuff in my interpretation anyhow, because I have an easy connection to the idea of a spiritual presence and power in my own life. But as it turns out, all of the people that had something to do with founding a church or a faith in this idea of under the umbrella of New Thought, each and every one of those founders, what they had in common was they believe in mental healing, that we are participating in that body-mind connection. And the reason they were all so powerful and were able to start movements is because they all had personal healings. From the very beginning with Quimby and both Myrtle Fillmore and her husband Charles Fillmore that started Unity, and Nona Brooks, and everybody you can look at who was at the very foundation more than 100 years ago, Emma Curtis Hopkins, they all had personal healings that were significant healings. And the healings changed their entire lives, because the healings then opened them to greater possibilities. You can see that God used them then to share that information in the way that they were able to process it and use it and be grateful for their lives as their lives continued. Didn't mean that they never got sick again, right? Didn't mean that any of them lived forever, right? We live, you know, and then we do other life. We do life in another form. But I would also add to that, and Dr. Holmes had a healing too, but he's not as famous for it. And all of those healings I speak of from time to time, and I won't go into it today because I have a lot of other things that feel important. But I would think that if you asked Dr. Holmes to describe himself, he probably would not say that he was a healer. He would not consider healing one of his great accomplishments, but he did develop a system of understanding why mental healing is effective, why it works, why healing treatments we can experiment with healing treatments in our own lives, and that's what he did. when he first was a young man, even in his early 20s, he was raised in an environment where his family was pretty open to it anyhow, and they were Bible-based, but they weren't religious. And they also appreciated nature and had they saw lots of God. You know, like it was not unusual. They lived on a farm for his younger years, and it was not unusual to find Ernest as a boy talking to the trees, communicating with the trees. So there was something innate in that understanding of the oneness and the wholeness of all of life. So as Holmes continued to explore his ideas and started discovering greater ways of looking at how why do people get well and some people don't, he started to experiment. Now, he moved, in his 20s, he moved from the East Coast, from Maine, to join his brother and his mother on the West Coast. They had settled in Fenwick, and his mother had settled in Venice Beach, the Venice Beach area. And Ernest Holmes, moved and joined them. And he got a job at the YMCA. He was actually working, I want to say it was for the city of Santa Monica that he was employed with. And through that job, he was assigned to do some work with young boys. I'm going to say pre-teenage. It sounds, when you read the stories, it sounds like they were about that age. And at the YMCA. I think there's a theme today, the YMCA. That's the second time today. Well, it's because we want to sing and dance and celebrate dads. Never mind. It's best if we move on quickly, because I might. And I never remember. I just try and do what everybody else is doing. But I do like to do that. So he worked with these boys, and he's doing these little experiments, and he starts to heal their warts. And so the little boys start to call him the wart wizard. Isn't that great? So he's just playing games. He's just praying over him, and he's just working with him, and he's seeing how do you believe it, you know? So what happened was the kids would come to him and go, hey, I got this wart, you know, can you heal it? And Dr. Holmes did this brilliant thing. He would take their hand, and he would look at the wart, and he would examine it really closely and demonstrate that he was really interested in helping the child heal the wart, you know? So the kid would go, can you heal this wart? You know, you did little Johnny's, can you heal my wart too? And then he would look straight in the eyes of the child, and he would say, do you believe I can? Do you believe I can make this wart go away? And then the child would say, well, yeah, that's why I came to you, because I heard you heal warts. You're the wart wizard. And so he would say to them, then go wash your hands. Get all that dirt off your hands, and then keep your hands clean, and that wart is going to go away. And it was so effective. They would run right to the restroom and wash their hands and clean up. It was so effective that the parents would come back and go, we have tried forever to get rid of that wart. What did you do? And Holmes understood that it was the power of belief. One little boy even asked him once, is that why you get warts, from dirty hands? And instead, just like Jesus, instead of answering the question, he said, well, what do you think? Right? And so then they come up with their own theory. But the thing is, you start at the beginning. Do you believe you can be healed? And I'll tell you, it's not, I don't walk into every ailment I experience with that positive attitude that, I walk in the opposite way. Like, what the hell's going on now? You know, why does that hurt? Or, so there's a process, and that's what metaphysics, and that's what mental healing, that's what the body-mind connection is all about. It's catching the fear thought in the very beginning so that you can then reverse it. I got to tell you something funny. Kay Fontana, we had such a wonderful retreat yesterday. We had a leadership retreat yesterday, and we had a huge turnout, and Kay, I'm sorry, I looked at Kay and went, and she was there, and you were there, and you were there. It was fun. Probably part of why I'm a little revved up today, because we had a really good time. But Kay Fontana during the week comes into me, and Kay is Cheryl's replacement. And not that you could be replaced, my dear. We gave you the keys, so you have access to all of our homes, probably. But Kay came into me midweek. She's doing the PowerPoint, getting the slide thing ready for you. And she goes, I just put the quote up there. I don't really like it. And I said, I don't really like that quote either. And the reason we don't like that quote is this. Let me read the quote to you that is our theme quote and where I got the title of the message from, In Good Repair. Dr. Holmes said, "The body is a house in which you live, and you need to keep it in good repair by right mental action." So notice where your mind goes. Immediately when he says by right mental action, then we start to think if we have any indications of illness or not being balanced in our body or in our minds, our relationships, we immediately think we've done something wrong. And that's where we use this teaching poorly. That, for me, is what they mean when they talk about metaphysical malpractice. That's you turning it against yourself. It's not helping you. So what we do is we notice that he says right mental action toward your body, to have right mental action. And so what we're talking about is just be aware that you can enhance your well-being by having the positive thoughts that are the opposite of the fear thoughts or the worry thoughts or the things that generally come in that package of not feeling healthy in our body. So what we're going to do this morning is make every possible attempt to not feel guilty, to not feel like anything I'm saying this morning has an element of scolding you or telling you you need to correct something that you're not doing well in your life, because that is not what this is about. This is not even a message or a lecture about fixing what ails you. We have to get away from that idea of brokenness and reverse that, to go back to the very beginning and see that there is something perfect and whole that is always trying to reveal itself in the way we express our lives, and that the opposite effects show up so that we can make new decisions, so that we can quit doing some of our old bad habits. And in this case, we're talking about our mental negativity and the worry and all of that stuff. He's going to get real specific for you this morning. We should have a good time with this. If you don't have a good time, then go back and watch the recording and listen to me lecturing you not to take this poorly, because I don't want to repeat all that. I think what I desire for you to hear today is that this is a time for and an opportunity, an exciting opportunity for us to reevaluate in our own minds, what do we mean when we talk about healing? How do we achieve wellness? How do we understand wholeness? And who the hell are we really? Oh, I'm sorry. There really are children today. I'm sorry. Who are we? We keep forgetting who we really are, and that's the main point. So right now, everybody, right now, no matter how old you are, let go of any negative thought you have about your body. Imagine that the heavens just dropped a big old basket, a trash can, into the room, and we can throw our negative thoughts, our negative judgments about our body, anything, any way that you would feel shame or blame or guilt about what you have or have not done to your body and the experience of your living. Get rid of it, let it go, and just let's imagine that it's going up into the ethers and it's blasted to the nothingness from which it came. And we can sit here this morning and feel, or sit in your own homes, because you've got a basket there too, and we can feel encouraged instead of not. If we go back to the beginning, which, we always go back to the beginning, it's helpful to remember that the body, the physical body we are given, is a gift from God. It is given to us for the very purpose of living our human life. So in our human life, there's all kinds of foibles and ups and downs and woolly mammoths chasing us and worry thoughts in our minds. And there are all kinds of things. Or watching the news, or reading the news. There's so much that keeps us on guard that we miss how amazing and miraculous it is and how fabulously it works even when we don't feel good. The human body is absolutely the greatest miracle of all. I was thinking about it this way. you, me, all of us. We are the result of this, a genetic concoction. I don't want to frighten you boys, but you're old enough to take it now. We're like this genetic concoction, like there was once an egg, and then all of a sudden there's like millions of little sperm, and only one can have the egg. And they duke it out. Imagine all the little guys in there duking it out. And the prize is you. That there was that coming together, the mystery of life that made you. And I'm just here today because it's Father's Day. I want to say to you that you were just once a twinkle in your dad's eye. And now look. So, we study this stuff and we understand that in nature, the masculine always gives the seed and the feminine always receives and nurtures. And yes, our physical body is this incredible gift. Some people say the body temple. And that only works for you if you're comfortable in your body. And I think that maybe nobody's comfortable all the time in their body, I don't think the purpose of mirrors is what we actually use them for now. We're critical when we look in the mirror, But it's helpful to remember that this body and everything on this planet that appears in physical form, everything in our minds, everything in nature, as we witness nature, everything in this universe is changing and evolving a little more every day. And so we look different from time to time. I just finished that great book I've been chatting about. I wrote in the front of that book, "This might be the best book I ever read." It was a great investment of my time, and it's about aging from strength to strength by, Albert Brooks or something like that. Am I close? Arthur. It's Arthur. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for saying out loud so I could hear it, because then I knew immediately it was Arthur. But at any rate, the book is so beautifully written about aging, and for you young folks today, just close your ears for a minute. After 40, it's downhill. They say after 40 that we build and when you think you're at your peak, but our peak happens after 40. Your best years come as you age because maybe we lose memory and maybe our body doesn't function the way it used to, but we have crystallized intelligence. And that's, I believe, what we look at as wisdom that we gain over years and years of experiencing life and making choices. And some of our choices are awesome, and some of them we never make again because we realize they weren't so awesome. This teaching, this philosophy, the science of mind, it has been called, is very thorough in defining the process of healing. Let me read to you an explicit statement from Dr. Holmes. He said, "We must turn away from all our worries. We must turn away from our anxieties and our fears about our body and know that there is, no matter what appearance there is in your body a normal pattern of health because there is an organizing factor." I like those words together. That's the intelligence. I like to talk about that infinite intelligence that breathes my lungs and circulates my blood, then I don't have to do that. There's something smart in me that knows how to do that. It's an organizing factor, and that factor knows what to do and knows how to do it. The doctor, he goes on, the doctor can assist us, but we do our part too. We assist by the way we think and we act. So that tells me that I want to spend time, especially when I'm well, not just when you're sick. I want to invest some time in building my faith in these ideas, in this natural process that is quite miraculous when you examine it closely. And that there is some kind of organizing factor in each and every one of us. That's the primary job is to help us express well-being. It is just the nature of life. there's a very exciting, well, if you're me, I might not be exciting to anybody else, but can you imagine how bored my friends get? This is all I talk about. There's a new article in the June issue of the Science of Mind magazine, and I think there's only a couple left out there. But the magazine every month has a full-length article that's just an excerpt they took that Dr. Holmes wrote or spoke. And this month, and they're starting to do this more, and this is what excites me, is they're transcribing the radio show, the little 15 minutes, half an hour radio shows he did, the broadcasts from the 40s and the 50s, and we're getting them as imprinted, they're in print in the magazine now. And so in June, there's this great article that's just on wholeness and wellness. And Holmes is talking about, in the article, he's talking about that the most important thing is that we have to get to know ourselves. We have to start to understand the greater truth about ourselves. We have to spend more time remembering that we are divinely created, that there is an organizing factor and intelligence within us that does not want us to be sick, right? All it does is express us towards wholeness and wellness. And then we get clogged up, things are harder to, heal. It takes longer to, it's interesting to age. And but the bottom line is that the real you is more than a body, right? We're spiritual beings. We're spiritual beings living in a human body. You know how we say stuff like that in the Course in Miracles? I love the Course in Miracles, you know that. 880 times it says, I am not a body, I am free. 880 times that affirmation appears in that book. I am not a body, I'm more than a body, and therefore I am free. The body is given to us like a house that we live in for a while we're on the earth, and it allows us to function. It gives us an opportunity to learn some stuff, right? We get to practice relationships. We get to learn how to manage our body and how to, we're learning how to love. We're learning how to love and how to forgive, and we're learning all the expansive things that are actually growing the consciousness of humanity day by day, no matter how it looks, because when it looks chaotic and crazy, that's because that's nature's way things break apart so that they can come together in a better way, and that's what being in good repair is about. We know that when we work on our home and the upkeep of our homes or our automobiles. They need attention from time to time. So from that article in the magazine, Dr. Holmes said this. He must have started the broadcast. This tickles me when he talks this way. Friends, he was a great orator. Friends, one of our greatest needs is to come to better know ourselves. Did I frighten the baby? Sorry, I love you. One of our errors is that we are constantly looking outside of ourselves instead of looking within. The answer to our needs is always found within. If we truly knew who we were, we would never again be subjected to the turmoils of the world. You know why? Because if we knew who we were, we wouldn't see those turmoils and interpret them in the way that we do now. We would have a greater vision and a greater spiritual sense of the way wholeness is continuing to try to express in our lives and on the planet. So we don't have to feel like a victim when we're under the weather. Don't you just hate it when you've got a ticket to fly out to take a vacation and you feel a sore throat coming? I immediately go, timing is bad. Oh, when is it good time to get sick? There is no good time. So there's a way we can switch our thinking. We can turn to that inner wisdom and not feel like a victim to a body that is just doing normal aging, when we have this beautiful crystallized intelligence that can help us reason it out. This is not about when Holmes says, we got to study, we got to learn, the answers are, turn within, get to know yourself. He's not talking about your anatomy. He's not talking about our physiology or the biology of the human body. He's not talking about any of that. And that's why we get into so much trouble when we go to the internet and we expect to cure ourselves by by typing in our symptoms. Remember, your symptoms are now just an algorithm. You're not, they're not the doctor. It's not a person. It's not like Dr. Holmes as the wart wizard who touches you and looks at that and acknowledges that it's there and then offers you the opportunity to say, do you believe it can be healed? When you're researching all that stuff, it overwhelms us with all the things that could go wrong, and we start naming our own things. And I just would say this to you because I think this is really important. You won't heal that way. You won't heal that way. That will not help you heal. But before you use your search engine, because it can be beneficial to help you narrow down when you at least go to the doctor and report your symptoms, if you're going to use the internet, at least pray before you click. Pray for clarity. Pray that God will shine a very bright light on any information you need to see, and that anything you should not be looking at will be removed from your awareness. Pray that you will be guided to that which will help the wisdom within you wake up to remember that you have that organizing factor. It is not missing, and there's nothing wrong with it. It desires to express in a better way and in a more powerful way in your life. So pray for clarity and wisdom. Clear your mind. Be able to touch the truth of that reality of who you are. Have you heard of Albert Schweitzer? Schweitzer won the Nobel Peace Prize. And Schweitzer had an aspiration as a young man. He was a theologian, he became a physician, he was a musician, and he was a philosopher, and he contributed many positive, gorgeous ideas. And he had this dream of going to Africa and doing healing work, working with the people and changing the world in a way that he felt intuited to get involved in. And he wanted to get his hands involved in it. And he did not want to go to Africa as a missionary. He did not want to be a pastor in Africa. He wanted to go as a physician. He wanted the credibility that would go along with that. And these are the words that he said. It is the primary role of the physician, whether it is an African witch doctor or a modern doctor, it is the primary role to entertain the patient while secretly waiting for nature to heal the disease. Physicians, healers of all sorts, probably since the beginning of time and the beginning of reasoning on these things, have understood this truth, that there are things they do, but it is ultimately up to the body to heal. And so when we do our work through right mental action, we are not getting in the way of the healing. We are looking at a new way of relating to whatever seems to be off balance, whether it is an emotional situation, a relationship, it doesn't matter what it is. I want to tell you, I worked in an OBGYN office for 4 years. I have that love of birth. And for 4 years I worked there, and the physician, I thought it was scandalous when I learned this. Certain women, because we only saw women, would come in with some chronic complaints. And when he would get desperate, he would tell the nurse to go get a certain medication he kept in the office, and she would go in the back room and take samples of birth control pills and punch out the sugar pills. You know how some brands, they want you to swallow a pill every day, but you don't need it every day of the month, so there's however many sugar pills. Yeah, so it's a placebo. It's nothing. And then she would come back, and it would be in a little envelope, and he would write on it, take one every day before breakfast. And then he would look in her eyes, and he would say to her, do not miss one single pill and take them till it's gone. And it would only be a 4 or 5 day supply. And I don't know that whether it worked or not, but the doctor had a belief that there was something that he couldn't do, but if he could convince her that she could be well, then she could be well. See, I thought it was scandalous. Then it was like, why would he do that? That sounds like malpractice to me. But he understood that the body won't heal till we make way for the body to heal, till we heal whatever is blocking the flow of the healing, the healing wholeness that desires to be revealed. I also remember that Dr. Michael Beckwith, who is a Science of Mind minister and well known now because Oprah, get on Oprah. Everybody knows her. And he had prescription pads printed so that when people came to him for counseling with some kind of a chronic problem, he would write down like 3 things you need to do this week and give that, and then peel it off, just like a doctor. Peel it off. This is your prescription. Follow it exactly the way I wrote it. Right? So there is something about knowing that others care, but there is also something about building the confidence in people to be able to manage to move more into right thinking than the worry thinking. I know it's tough when it's a physical, or if you have pain, I know it's really tough. And by the way, it's not like we're going to heal this and we're not going to die someday. It's like this is just a part of life. We're contained in this gorgeous body, but then there's some kind of freedom that happens later where we take the lessons we have accumulated in this life experience, and we don't know what comes next. But it's fun to contemplate it for some of us. Holmes said, turn away from your worries and your fears. Turn away from the things that feel like they threaten your physical or emotional or mental well-being. Turn away from those things because there is an organizing factor that knows what to do and knows how to do it. So we want to work with that organizing factor and not block it and not I just ask myself, okay, hold on here, girl. What do you believe? And when I remember what I believe, I feel so much better because it boosts my confidence right on the spot. We do our part. I think the questions are basic. Are you ready to receive? Are you ready to heal? Can you look beyond your imperfections? And how do we release our judgments around all of that? And I think it's a day-by-day process. We're always creating an atmosphere of thought. Listen to these words, why it's so important to pay attention to what you think. We understand there's a relationship between the body and the mind, but don't forget the third partner in that, body, mind, and spirit. Body, mind, and spirit, that infinite intelligence, that power that's greater than we are. Body, mind, spirit, God. Don't leave God out. Don't forget about that intelligence that's always working for you. So here are the words. These are lovely. These would be good affirmation handouts, I think. Holmes said, in light of modern knowledge, we can say, I'm a spiritual person using a physical body. We can rightly say, I am the intelligence that directs the cells in my body. I am the intelligence. I'm in charge of what's going on in my mind. This is why I'm careful when I watch the news. And then he goes on to make this startling proclamation. He said, one might say, I'm sick. I'm defeated. I'm depressed. But by this very declaration, we are commanding the cells of our body to carry out a negative expression. And then your body responds. And he says, when we say things like, I'm really angry about that, or I hate it when this happens, then the the law responds to what's in our mind. And then the form that comes is often expressed as an illness or an undesirable circumstance. So we change all that the minute we stop thinking that way. The minute we clean it up and we use our minds in a positive way, then we are helping that organizing factor to express in a more full way. Please don't use this superstitiously. Please remember not to hear this in a way that feels like you have done anything wrong. It's information that's an opportunity for us just to pay more attention. You know, at the end of the day, what I like to do is go, wow, have I thought 51% positive thoughts in this day against all the things I've come up against that were hard or worrisome or scary? You know, 51%, that's all it takes. 51%, just a little bit over the top. So your body is a house that you live in. And we say, keep it in good repair. I looked up good repair, and it says well maintained. It's when we mend or we patch or we rebuild something as needed. And I would say to you, as my parting words, use prayer every day so that you can rearrange your beliefs, so that you can rebuild the possibilities for a fuller expression of living your life in the way that we were intended to live this life. We certainly are created to experience joy, to have moments at least of peace of mind, and certainly to be able to express love, and that's what community is about. Thank you for being here today. Sometimes the words of prayer seem more important than other times, and today feels like that day. So, standing on the other side of an amazing leadership retreat, of a precious moment of honoring a loved one within our community, anticipating with joyous expectation what will happen as we socialize at the end of service. I just feel the love of God. I feel it moving through this building, and I feel something stirring within me. And I know it is that activity of life right where we are. Right where we are, God is. And I feel that presence of that infinite wisdom of all of life. That Father, Creator, that has called all things into being. And I recognize that there is some kind of an organizing factor that has touched the hearts of every person listening right now. Has touched the hearts of the people that have joined us physically in this room. There is something that allows us to know that we are wired for this kind of connection, and that beyond that, there is an urge for us to experience oneness with life and with God, with that power, with that healing presence that is greater than we are. So as we speak today these powerful words that are indeed about revealing our wholeness, taking us to a new understanding of perfection and this organizing power within us, the way that we can come to get to know ourselves and the truth of our being even more intimately. We become aware of that truth as it is revealed to us. And it allows us to stretch our imagination and grow our consciousness so that we begin to see the connection of all of life. We begin to see that the upsets in the world and the seeming conflicts between all of humanity are here to be healed. That there is a divine light that is illuminating souls and allowing us to join together at a higher vibration, a higher level, greater possibilities yet to come. So we pause and we feel that love at the center of our being. And for some, there's a quickening. There's an activity that we can feel and we can sense, and we know it is the way that the cells in our body are responding to this message today. That nothing stands in the way of that flow of life through us. And so I know there's a healing happening, that we are physically removed from the burdens we have carried in our minds. It is lifted from us, that we are reignited and reinvigorated in our relationships, that the flow of love is magnificently activated. And where there is a call for forgiveness anywhere, we need to make amends, or we need to see things in a new way, that God will give us that information now. So we open ourselves to receive, and the grace of God is freely given. And I know that this spiritual community benefits from this movement of life in this very day. So I say thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you, infinite Spirit, for all of this wisdom, and for us to understand that this indeed is how life works. I release it and I let it be, and together we say, and so it is. Amen. Amen.
Grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. Everywhere I look and every face I see is love reflected, shining back to me. I just give thanks for all these simple things, the joy and peace that gratitude brings. That's why I'm grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have.
All right. Thank you, Bradfords, and thank you, Reverend Karen, for that message. I have to share you real quick. So I had some body aches. I had my foot ache, my shoulder ached for a while, and so I couldn't exercise, and everything is healed now, and so I'm in the zone of exercising, and I'm loving it. So, yeah, so I'm definitely loving my body. All right, so now's the time to celebrate, but what I want to celebrate with you guys really quickly is our fries. I want to give you an update on our fries little fundraiser that we had earlier this year, and what that was is that we were asking everybody that that grocery shops, which I think everybody in here does, right? That if you shop at Fry's, that you sign up for Fry's and make sure that we're a recipient of the funds that they have that they donate. So we worked on it for about a quarter, getting everybody to sign up, and we got everybody signed up. We had a little wall out there with information for people who were signing up, and so we've got our first check from that, all the work we've done, and I will tell you that we've doubled our money. Okay, so we doubled our money. Yeah. So I have to tell you, it was $30. And it's at $30 a quarter now. It's $70 a quarter. But what I want to share with you guys that Fry's gives away $50,000 a quarter. Right? So it's about how big of a cup or a bucket do we want to bring to the well, right? So, but anyway, so we are on our way, and I'm really excited that we have doubled our money. And again, there's nothing. It's you shopping, and we're receiving the money. And so I just want to say thank you. All right. So thank you. So now's the time to celebrate the abundance of our lives and also the abundance of the community. So again, we're not passing around the offering plate. We have drop boxes in the back of the room. We also have it in Pappy Hall and also in the bookstore. So we appreciate your tithes and your donations. So let's say our giving affirmation together. I live in a consciousness of good. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is.
Please rise for our last song. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Sing that with me. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. I ain't thinking about my problems. I'm living now. I'm living now. And I ain't gonna worry about the future. I'm living now. I'm living now. So put your hands up if you feel like having a good time. Put your hands up if you're sharing love with all. Raise your cup if you're hopeful for tomorrow. Put your hands up if you're ready to have some fun. Now sing it with me. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. It feels so good to be alive. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live. It feels so good to be alive. It feels so good to be alive. One more time. It feels so good to be alive.
All right, happy Father's Day again. All right, so let's say our closing affirmation. So just repeat after me. My right mental action is to love and appreciate my body. And so it is.